Good afternoon and welcome to the Food to Go webinar on the future of the F&B industry. I'm Richard Fitzgerald, the CEO and founder of Augustus Media, publishers of Lovin Dubai, Lovin Saudi and Smashy TV. And I'm honoured to be here today with an esteemed panel to discuss the future of the F&B industry. So without further ado, I'd like to call on the first guest. Dr. Majid, welcome to the Food to Go webinar.
Hi there.
How are you this afternoon?
Very well, thank
you. Very good. Oh, great. Yeah, so would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. So I'm an advisor to the Minister of Climate Change and Environment. We basically handle the food portfolio for the UAE. So that involves both local production as well as trade and market access for food in the UAE. So that in a nutshell is the portfolio that I'm coming to this conversation with.
Great. Looking forward to discussing further those topics at length with you in throughout the afternoon. Okay, so we'll bring on the next guest. Well, welcome to the Food to Go, of which you are the co-founder. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Thank you, Richard. Hi, Sheikh Majid. Hope all is well. So, yeah, I'm one of the co-founders of Food to Go. Food to Go is a cloud kitchens operation or service cloud kitchen operations. We've been in the business for the last almost 18 months, and with many expansion plans within UAE and outside UAE. We will talk about it later during the show. I've been in the city for the last 14 years. I've been working in F&B for the last 14 years, you know, with big names from around the world. And, and here we go on this webinar to discuss the future of F&B and what are the trends going forward, along with the lovely and panel that we are having today. And thank you, Richard, for bringing us all together.
Thank you. Well, okay, so we have 3 more guests to join, and then I'll introduce the topics. So if we bring on our next panelists, please. Welcome, Yaqub. Thank you for joining the panel this afternoon.
Definitely a pleasure, Richard. Thank you for having me. Sheikh Majid, Wael, hope everything is okay.
Yeah,
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So a quick one on myself. Basically, I come from an investment background, a mix of investment banking, asset management, M&A, and semiconductors, private equity in different geographies. After that, I joined the business world several years ago, had several startups that scaled and thankfully are successful, and then founded Yas Investments and Spartak Ventures, a venture capital fund. Food to Go is very important for us. We kind of started a journey together. One of our first, let's say, clients that we've advised, and since then we've been riding the wave together, and that's why I'm here under this capacity.
Well, thank you for joining us. Great. So we'll bring on our 4th panelist.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome. If you'd introduce yourself, please.
Sure. First of all, thank you, Richard, for bringing us together. And hello, Dr. Majid, Wael, and Yagub as well. This is Mohammed Yildirim. I'm the managing director for Talabat UAE. I've been in F&B industry together with my Turkey experience 5.5 years now. And hopefully today I'm planning to bring aggregator view of the things to the discussion. I hope it will be interesting chat altogether.
Great. Well, thank you also for joining us. Okay, so I'll just bring on the fifth panelist and then we'll get started. Welcome, Abdul
Afternoon,
Qadir.
gentlemen. Thank you. Afternoon, everyone. Thanks. Alaykum salam. Thank you for having me.
Great.
My name
If
is
you'd
Abdul
introduce
Qadir.
yourself.
I'm the founder. Yeah. Can you hear me, because I'm having a bit of problems with my connection?
Yeah.
Okay. My name is Abdul Qadir. I'm the founder and managing director of Glee Hospitality. We've been in the business for 10 years. The company was set up in the Emirates in 2010. We specialize in developing F&B concepts as well as operating. We're currently operating out of the Emirates and recently in Saudi Arabia over the last 2 years now, almost.
Amazing. Well, thank you for joining us. Okay, great. Now that everyone's here, so as the audience can see, we have esteemed panelists with household names and lots of industry leaders in the region in F&B. So F&B is a hot topic. It's close to many people's hearts. There's lots of things happening both in the region, internationally this year, and in the future. We can talk about many trends that many people will have views on. We will be going through the future of the F&B industry, looking at trends from New York, London, and other global cities with a lens of the MENA region and the impact of what it will have here. Then we'll also talk about cloud kitchens and how they can play a role in how we're managing food and how we're meeting consumer demand. And finally, and then next, actually, we'll talk about how the operators work with aggregators with respect to technology and the trends in that space as well. And then finally, we'll speak in more detail about Food2Go's proposition in the cloud kitchen space and how it can help the ecosystem in the F&B industry in the region. So to kick things off, we're in the middle of a global pandemic. How disruptive has this been to the F&B industry? Dr. Majid, if you'd like to start.
Well, looking at the situation globally, obviously there's going to be a lot of hesitation to be out in public with different countries taking different measures. We hear a lot about concerns around access to food, access to the basics, but we've been very fortunate to have leadership that have taken every precaution and gone the extra mile to make sure we don't feel any of those things. And we've successfully ensured for the public safety and access for food across the country. However, that is to say we also need to be at a regional food in general. So imports, exports, that has not been affected so much here. We have had plenty of access to food, but the trickle-down effect then when you're trying to get food from the supermarkets, the one thing I can say, looking at the macro right into the household, people have become closer to food. I would also argue that the F&B is not close to our hearts, but close to our mouths and our stomachs. And with that, we've ended up with a much stronger relationship with food. It's suddenly very clear and in front of us. I don't know, I could run off a list and the audience can all put up their hand, who's been doing banana bread, who's been baking their own sourdough, who's taken the time to do their own special coffees. We've rekindled the relationship with food, and I think the F&B industry is both been challenged and at the same time ready for a resurgence. And we're going to see what new modalities for access to food, basically the delivery and food to the home concepts that are coming back out of this. I know people have relied on them in certain respects, and yeah, I'm looking forward to today's conversation around this.
That's a really interesting point. Yeah, I think the first podcast I heard about the COVID-19 was the Daily from New York Times, end of January, February, and an expert was stockpiling food in his home and taking the bunker mentality. And we've almost forgotten that didn't happen in the UAE. We haven't felt like for one moment that we were going to starve, that we were going to be without food. So it's a really good point to kind of mention that at the top. Yeah, and of course you mentioned lots of other things as well that people have rediscovered in the culinary space. Anyone else to have a view on that?
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, from my perspective, I want to take a look at it maybe from an investment perspective. I mean, look, in general, there were the trends, whether it's in the food industry or other industries with regards to digitalization and other things like that. So those trends preceded COVID. As soon as COVID impact, became evident and the lockdown has come, then, we've seen somewhat of a global, I call it a migration online. And that put a lot of businesses and business models to the test. As every different industry, the food industry has been evolving. It has been evolving, led by consumers towards the delivery end. I'm sure my co-panelists over here would give you more light on that. But yeah, I mean, there's winners and losers, unfortunately. But I see that the way the food industry is evolving is very interesting. Starting from traditional restaurants, moving towards maybe the kind of the delivery and food aggregators, and then you had the real estate play, basically as cloud kitchen real estate play, and then on the furthest end is basically kitchen as service, which we are going to discuss today. So for that business model, I would say, it has proven to be resilient during COVID. Yeah.
I think that's also an interesting point around digital transformation. We saw that, especially in the UAE, that we'd already were quite advanced with digital in many aspects of the F&B industry, whether it's reserving restaurants or bringing food home and loyalty points, but there was even more of a migration. Just to ask you a little further on that, Yaqub, do you think that the investment appetite has changed? Do you think that some of people's proof points like yours has been proven out, or do you think that people are becoming reactionary and are thinking that the trends that are good and that they might invest just in digital and not in real world experiences? How do you think that's playing out?
Yeah, definitely. Look, I think you can look at it from multiple angles. I think if we talk about the startup industry and the VC landscape, there was a period where there were a lot of unjustified inflated valuations. I think that was an issue predominantly in the West, but that seeped into different geographies, unreasonable expectations, and little focus on unit economics. I think last year there were some events that happened, without mentioning specific names, that brought attention to unit economics again. And that was a good start from, let's say, a focus perspective. And the investors had to be, I felt, started to get more educated. Now, when COVID hit, I think, initially most investors, especially the ones with a portfolio that they're managing, were busy looking at their own portfolios, to be honest. But as things eased off, I think a lot of investors are seeing many interesting deals right now. A lot of them definitely are digitally focused, and yes, so some adapted wait and see methodology for the non-digitally focused, and we've seen some opportunities where actually they've received more interest because COVID, as unfortunate as it is, and I hope all families are safe all across the world, has been fortunate for these companies. So it's a varied, basically, effect. I feel it brought on a lot of focus. So I see it as a positive thing for the landscape, and I feel like expectations right now from founders' perspective, from VC perspective, and from a government perspective, realizing the importance of SMEs in general. I see positivity happening, and it's a good time to invest, to be honest, now and within the next several years.
That's a positive viewpoint. Yeah, please. Dr. Majid, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, might I jump on the back of that? Yaqub's comment there is quite interesting, because what we've seen, at least from the macro side of things, or let's call it like upstream from the value chain for F&B, there was a strong focus on locally sourcing food, be it from local farms or otherwise, and also the direct consumer sort of supply of groceries or vegetables came up. So from an investment perspective, you now have an attention on local supply and value chains for the F&B industry that, at a sort of more expanded look, are part of a food system that is of real value to have in country. So like Yaqub's saying, there's a lot more focus, not simply on that end of value chain for the client, for the consumer, but actually that you've got the full value chain in country, and there your investment opportunities can hit a number of places. So yeah, that's exciting times right now.
That's interesting. Just hold that thought, because I'd love to get, Wael, your view on that in terms of sourcing foods. But Abdelkader, if I'll bring you into a point that Yaqub mentioned on investment portfolio, what is your Glee Hospitality's view of the right investment portfolio for a hospitality firm?
First of all, I'd like to apologize because I was cut off, so I didn't hear you, gentlemen. I was coming in and out, so I missed some of the points. But in terms, I'm assuming the question is leading to what opportunities are in the market today or moving forward.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we've been impacted. Everyone's been impacted in the industry, and everyone is trying to identify what is the next move. As a company, or even personally, I'm still hopeful that we will go back to some sort of normality where people are going out and dining out. But even prior to the COVID, I think some of the trends were changing in terms of having more standalone units, smaller capex, revised rents, renegotiated rents. So I think we do believe there's still opportunities, but you need to be smarter on how you're spending the money or where the money is being spent, allocated. Even during this COVID, we've been approached by quite a few investors still looking to come into the market. We are planning for 2021, I would say, opening first quarter. So we're doing quite a bit of desk work right now. We are looking at automation. Automation is still quite expensive. So we've researched a few concepts out of the US which are fully automated, like the burger concepts. But these machines, you're talking about $1 million, $500,000. Is someone going to really invest $500,000 today, or $1 million in an automation for a burger concept? Maybe yes. I don't know. We're hopeful they will. But I mean, overall, look, we do believe the market will come back. It's a matter of time. People want to go out. I do believe people go out to meet for the experience. It's not only about the food. The food has to be good, of course, but people do go out to interact, to see a family, to see friends.
Can you explain that investment point of view? What is a fully automated burger concept?
So there's already a couple of concepts in the US, and they've been around for about 2 years now. There's one which was done by some MIT students. It's a noodle concept, fully automated. You've got another new burger concept, which is again fully automated. You see, I mean, the machine is dropping the bun, slicing the bun.
Okay.
The burger is being cooked, thrown in between the bun. The toppings being. It's really, you need probably 2 people to man the entire outlet. Do I believe this is going to come to the region? Yes, we are looking at it. Of course, the first one is going to be the most expensive to develop, but obviously, the more outlets you open, the more the cost will drop. But I mean, this is more on the sort of the fast or QSR segment, if you want. I mean, I'm on one of the group chats, people were talking about the QR codes and how they feel about walking into a restaurant and using their phone to get the menu. I don't like it. A lot of people don't like it. You're losing the touch or the essence, the experience. People are doing it now out of necessity and because, of course, they're scared. I'm scared. Everyone's scared. So we're having to be careful. But again, when you go out, you want to see the waiter. You want to speak to the waiter. You want to see him smiling. I mean, today you don't even know if the waiter is looking at you angrily or smiling, and vice versa. But again, I mean, I do stress the point that pre-COVID, the market was tough, challenging. So I think COVID just sort of made things even harder now. We were looking at smaller units before. And I think that's the smart thing, is to look at smaller capex units that you can open many rollout. That's why you build real equity in the business. Some people have different points of view. Some people want to open a single unit and they're very happy to run it as mom and pop shop, and that's fine. But I think if you're looking to build equity, to build a business that you can exit, then I think you should be looking at small concepts, small space that you could roll out.
Interesting. Just talking about the trends from a restaurant point of view, and Sheikh Majid, you mentioned from a ministerial point of view about investments or in terms of produce. Are you looking at trends from a consumer behavior point of view and working backwards and seeing are the right policies in place for this? And equally, Wael, is that what your view on this would be as well?
So from a policy perspective, what we're trying to ensure is that we've got a clear flow of produce and value back into the economy, the F&B economy. We want to make sure that you have access to produce, access to your inputs, essentially. We are very proud to have a very well-diversified trade portfolio. We have access across the globe, and that has not stopped. What we're looking at moving forward is the importance of having more of that value stream in country so that we're creating more of a sustainable food system in terms of creating that value within country. Now for F&B, and I see it all the time, it'll be small things where people are picking maybe microgreens that have been grown in a hydroponic system, or organic mint or vegetables that are coming from another part of the country, say in Al Ain. Now, what Abdul Qadir was saying, where you want to connect with people in the F&B, there's also a narrative around the importance of safety of food. Now, with all of us being sensitized to, you know, how a virus can turn up and disrupt our way of life, what's happening now is people are concerned with food safety. The relationship with food has not only become closer, but has become more scrutinized. And for a lot of the F&B, whether it's this touchless experience of QR codes or trying to bring people back in, there's a certain amount of safety that needs to be brought with the narrative. And that's what the government, both at a local level and at a federal level, we're trying to ensure that people can comfortably go back to the F&B sector. And we want everybody to come back and enjoy real quality food, whether it's at their homes or in the restaurants or other experiences that exist.
Okay, great. What do you think, Wael, on that point of price?
No, I'm not sure. You hear me? It was cutting for me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, cool. So when it comes to the post-COVID and what happened to consumer behavior, we have witnessed a lot of change in consumer behavior over the past 3 months, if I might say. We have learned as Cloud Kitchen a lot from this. Nevertheless, we were a hot topic solution for a lot of operators, for consumers. We were from the few restaurants or cloud kitchens that we were operating and still fulfilling consumer needs during that that period. It was a challenging for us, yes, when it comes to transportation and staff and all these things, but we made it happen. We continued the operation. We fulfilled consumer needs. When it comes to consumer behavior, we have experienced a shift of demand from breakfast and lunch into dinner and late dinner operation. For example, pizza sales. Some brands doubled, other brands even tripled when it comes to pizza. For a very many reasons, kids at house, parents at house, they don't know what to eat. It's a pizza. We know this. Plus we have introduced for many brands, we've introduced value meals, family meals, etc. Also, this were it were appreciated by the crowd and the customers, and it worked very well. So yes, consumer now, before in Dubai they were price sensitive. Now it's becoming more price sensitive, and how we feel that sometimes we have this consumer. There's sometimes X aggregator does a certain campaign. You see the crowd going to this aggregator, and then another aggregator on the second day or in the following week does another campaign. Then you see the crowd going to the other aggregator. So what's happening now? It's like people, they have 2 or 3 apps, preferred delivery apps, and wallah, today I want to eat Lebanese. Okay, let's go here and check offers for Lebanese. Then I go on the other aggregator. Okay, it's like this. This myself, when I want to order, I do it. So just try to save money.
That's very interesting. You kind of mentioned a few things that are linked there. In the 2007-2009 recession, since then, Domino's Pizza's share price has outgrown Google's and one other big global tech giant, Amazon. And we also see a trend that at times of recession, maybe pizza is a comfort food and people are price sensitive. Is that sort of, is the luxury dining experience? We saw that one of the most expensive restaurants in the world, Norma, I think in Scandinavia, introduced a gourmet burger. Are these some of the trends that we're seeing? Mo, are you seeing that as well from direct to consumer? Uh-oh.
You're on mute.
I think, let's just give him a second. Does someone want to comment on that? Well, do you want to continue?
Yeah, sure. Until Mo is connected. So yeah, look, as Abudi was mentioned, dine-in will be there. It's not that it will disappear, but consumer, even now, dine-in is coming back, but when? It's on weekends. Weekdays, it's very slow. From my talks with the market, with everybody, with every single player in the market, name it, is it a mall, is it a strip, is it a, name it, everywhere in the city, they are telling us, okay, during weekends, we are doing good. During weekdays, almost, I don't want to say zero, but it's very weak for dine-in. This tells tells us a lot of information and data for us, for cloud kitchens, to develop our vision and how we want to grow and where we want to grow and which areas we want to grow and what services we want to provide. These things we will come back on later. The cloud kitchens services that we can provide as well. So yes, gourmet burger will be there, but it's not that people are going out 3 or 4 times a week now. People, maybe they will go out maybe on a weekend, and that's what we see. That's the experience that we are having now. So hopefully Mo.
Hello, do you hear me now?
Yeah, here you go.
Okay, sorry, I think I had a problem with the mic. Richard, for your question, actually, I would like to take a few steps back also. a bit putting a different perspective to the discussion from consumer point of view. As Talaba, we also witness a major change on consumer behavior and over the time, which I'll be tackling a few of them. But I think one of the bright side of this pandemic, because there are obviously a lot of downside which all are aware, but one is the upside is not necessarily for food delivery, but for entire e-commerce ecosystem, it accelerated a transition. Let me give you an example. A lot of people, or a lot of consumer who were not supposed to be part of e-commerce ecosystem, or maybe supposed to be part of in next 5 years, are part of the ecosystem now. Now I can say maybe globally millions of people who never had an e-commerce experience now part of the ecosystem. Same is for our region, and same for the food delivery business. Maybe actually not maybe it's for sure that when it's come to per customer now maybe they're placing less order, maybe less number of orders for multiple reasons which we can mention hopefully, but then I can say more people, more consumers are part of the game, which is I see I think quite a good opportunity, maybe not now, next couple of years, from the investment opportunity point of view, especially like how Mr. Yagub mentioned while he was speaking, that I see I see this as a bright side of the pandemic, which hopefully will create a lot of opportunity on the long run. Maybe not today, but once this pandemic effect starts recovering, it will be there. When it's come to the buying behavior within Talabat, yes, I can say we have some interesting finding as well. Probably in the past, we would never consider having a romantic dinner at home because we would go out and then dine in. Now we also witness a lot of fine dine restaurants or brands or concept are picking. Even though a lot of people still are mindful on their spending, there are some groups actually replicating this fine dine experience in their home. So from that aspect, actually, I can say yes. It was one of the interesting switch on the or a change on the customer behavior. Lastly, as Dr. Majid mentioned as well, I could say safety is becoming one of the major let's say decision one of the decision factor for customers. I can only speak from the food delivery point of view, but I'm sure it's also for dining or from from many angles. Now I can say customers have a tendency to prioritize the brands or services who they are much more sure on the safety.
Interesting. Just to touch on everyone's view on the sort of current restaurant climate in terms of reopening around safety. And
Yeah.
I think in early March, the New York Times had a statistic that 75% of independent restaurants are unlikely to reopen. And then as things changed, that became 50%, 40%, and dropping further. I know what we've seen on Lovin Dubai through a Business Bounce Back initiative. There's huge emphasis and energy with local F&B restaurants to get things going again. There's a lot of innovation. There's a lot of effort to keep things going, more so than international brands. Is that, maybe people aren't out and about yet, but do you see that as well? There's a lot of energy to kind of get things up and going slowly and safely as well.
You're asking to me?
Just in general, yeah. If you'd like to.
Okay. Maybe I can then start since I jump in that. In the beginning, to be honest, when COVID started, the pandemic started, what I think we received the hit by mid-March in our country. I think it wasn't the case. A lot of local or relatively like SMEs are affected more than the bigger or international chains. Even the perception on the society, like everybody sits at home, so people will order a lot, and then restaurants maybe will generate more business. It was never the case in the beginning. the market affected and delivery market affected up to 30-40% in the beginning, where dining was totally closed. I can say on the early days of pandemic, let's say first 1 month, maybe 1.5 month, local brands actually affected way more than the big chains. So there are multiple reasons behind that. They have maybe better leasing contracts, rent contracts, or they have stronger on the cash flow. And a lot of studies shows that globally, maybe not necessarily for our regions, but SMEs or small and medium FMB brands have 1.5 months to 2 months cash reserve. So it was really difficult for them. But obviously, then I have to mention that like we're super grateful for the UAE government and then their support to take the control on things and then recover. And then after let's say a month and a half to two, it starts recovering. When it starts recovering, I can say a lot of local brands became much more innovative and creative than the international or the chain one. I think this is the moment that they start making a difference. I can give you an example, probably maybe Abdul Kadir or Wael can correct me on that. A lot of small brands are the first one to introduce the meal kits that you can cook at home. So that was very innovative move by many of them. I don't know if there are more examples, but I can say not in the beginning, but after the first shock, first hit, I see local brands are becoming very, competitive, very strong, and then they start recovering, are becoming much more innovative as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd like to add one point there. Sorry, Rich, go ahead.
No, please.
Okay, what I was thinking was, when you think about the dynamic of people in the home trying to socialize again, it becomes very difficult and puts people maybe on the back foot to even go and visit somebody else. And we had that long period where people weren't sure, and still even now there's people that might be concerned. So restaurants became the middle ground. And it became a place again where people could socialize. And so what happens is your first option to go see someone, if it's not at the office, would be to find a restaurant that maybe you felt had the right social distancing requirements, and it was neutral ground to reestablish social interactions again. So with that, there was a sort of first wave of people that wanted to see people or wanted to reconnect, but felt, okay, we need somewhere that's condoned, and I haven't had a meal outside the house for a while, so I'm going to go and join somebody for lunch or for coffee or for dinner. And I think that's an important part of the dynamic of getting people back out, is to know that they have a safe place to reestablish those connections again. And hopefully more innovative and switched on SMEs will be able to capitalize on that.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, I think, look, I mean, it's a tough period on everyone, but let's not forget we're part of a wider ecosystem and within a country. And to be honest, we've all experienced and have been lucky to be in the UAE at the time of the lockdown. It has been extremely inspiring, the clarity that the whole ecosystem has received. The government has been communicating upfront. I felt a sense of cooperation between real estate players, other businesses coming together, wanting to help each other out. That's definitely inspiring. But back to restaurants and SMEs. Look, I mean, it's especially for dine-in restaurants, it's not an easy business to be in. And you can have a certain runway, but it's very difficult to identify right now the difference between a permanent impact in consumer behavior, how it's going to look like, and how, but what I can not help but do is maybe touch on topic number two, which again, I mean, there was a trend. If you think about it from a restaurant's owner perspective, I mean, you have to fight really hard to get, okay margins. I would refrain from mentioning those. But as the trend continues, customers wanted to go and watch Netflix at home rather than going and eating out. More and more of that started happening. So more orders started happening, and then those restaurant owners, which are probably in prime locations and with operating costs, with capex and all of that to fight for those margins. Where we've seen different models in the industry, similar to the kitchen as service, honestly providing a way out for those restaurants, whether it's a virtual concept or an existing concept, to basically move from your prime location with all of that fixed cost and be in a kitchen as service company with a network that can take you to multiple areas with no operation cost. I mean, that sounds like a really good solution to me. So I think this exemplifies how the trend is flowing and moving towards a natural steady state.
That's a nice segue. And yeah, just to open up the second topic about cloud kitchens, you know, and to close off what we were talking about international trends, before it was common to look at what happened in New York and London, whether it was a spare rib trend or burritos, and then think that that's the next thing and import it. As we've seen, especially in the UAE and also in Saudi, that the trends, you know, the consumer is so spoiled for choices with so many international cuisines, so many different options, there's so many different nationalities, that actually no longer are we looking at other markets for trends, that the trends are emerging from here. And not just that, if we look across the panel today, it's so representative of the different parts of the F&B industry, but also all from here. So, you know, alluding to that in the technology space as well, you know, Food to Go is a cloud kitchen pioneer from this market that was already in place before the pandemic. But I think the trend is similar in terms of restaurants and food taste and technology. What do you think?
Yes, as you mentioned, the food trends globally has changed. I'll give you, you know, you mentioned New York and London and the big cities. I'll give you a few examples of, for example, from London, what's happening in New York. I don't say that it's a replica or we are 100% comparison or 100% replica market between Dubai or Riyadh and New York, but looking at these big cities, you can feel or you can tell like the consumer and the big brands and where the big money actually what they are doing, these big people. For example, we all know from before that, for example, McDonald's before the pandemic, they were the #1 brand. Okay. After or during the pandemic, McDonald's dropped from #1 to #5 in US, and the #1 brand now it's Domino's Pizza. Why Domino's Pizza? Again, pizza, they are more advanced into the delivery, they are more advanced into technology, their system all is built around delivering the pizza in geographic, demographic breakdown, etc., etc. This helped Domino's Pizza to become the #1 brand in US. Talking about other trends, as we mentioned, this will lead to the second example. But you know, one of my friends were telling me the other day, you know, we've been telling people for the last 3 months, stay at home, stay at home, stay at home, and now suddenly we are telling them go out from home and go to restaurants. They will go out, but it will take them some time again to go out. Some of the trends that is picking up really good is people that are going out from home to get the food, but they don't want to get inside any premises, which is the delivery, or the drive-through or the pickup option. From this example, I'll give you an example on Starbucks and McDonald's in the US. McDonald's, they have seized an expansion plan for physical outlets of $1 billion, seized, and they moved the budget into converting existing stores and making it more delivery friendly and drive-through friendly locations. So this again, Starbucks, they are closing around 400 stores and investing in the other stores to make it again delivery and drive-through friendly. So this gives us sort of an insight of the consumer trends and what is happening or what's going to happen in the future. And this is where we see like the future of F&B, and this is how we are building our cloud kitchens expansion or development plan in the very, very foreseen future. So yeah, so this is how I see this consumer trends from the big cities that would come to us, to our region, you know, in the very near future, and already we can feel some sort of these dynamics.
Can I ask a question around the cloud kitchen concept? I can understand it from a point of view of the kitchen delivering and producing the food in the same way, but not the dining experience. But one of the other sort of, and related to foods, produce and supply chain and almost the manufacturing space, one of the problems or issues of the F&B industry was that on a high street or in a mall, you might have hundreds of restaurants or tens of restaurants. In terms of wastage and efficiencies of produce, that might not be necessary. Is that also a solution for cloud kitchens, that not only for the delivery, but you can provide efficiencies and efficiencies basically to dine-in experiences as well?
Yes, indeed. It's something also that I don't want to say it's in a pipeline for the dine-in experience for Food to Go, but it is something that we looked at. And with our strategic partners, we are looking at this segment, strategic partners in UAE and strategic partners in KSA, and some of the big mall players in the city, big mall operators, sorry. It is something that we look at. However, we are still, to be honest, we are still waiting for more data to come from other examples. This has been done in London and in Hong Kong. And we are just trying to build up more data on this segment where a cloud kitchen for dine-in experience, how it would look, and how you could add some sort of a technology to this experience. So hopefully in the next 2 to 3 months we will be having more data about such a model. However, I'll tell you how the efficiency, for example, in Food to Go currently we operate some hotels. Like we have a couple of hotels that we operate, and when I say we operate, that we have took over the hotel's kitchen, and we are using this same kitchen for hotel operation when it comes to for room service, dine-in, restaurants, all-day dining, breakfast, etc. And we are using the kitchen for cloud, as a cloud kitchen for delivery business. So it's utilizing the space, utilizing the asset, utilizing the staff, utilizing the economics, utilizing the reducing your waste, reducing everything. Plus, it's an added value to the hotel. First, the hotel, they have someone who's running their back of the house, zero headache, zero cost, zero waste, zero running cost. On the top of this, they make money. The second strength point for the hotel is we will be able to create kind of a food festival inside the hotel, because usually when we go out, when we stay in hotels, I'm not talking about the luxury 5 stars plus 7 star plus hotels, but I'm talking about the city stay hotels. When you go to these hotels, you check their room service menu. It's like you have this typical burger, typical pizza, typical pasta, and one sandwich and a club sandwich. Yeah, that usually that's the menu at these hotels. When we stepped in, we managed to take the menu from 3 pages to 12 pages room service menu, where people in the room, they will have access to branded sushi brands, branded burger brands, branded pizza brands, branded Lebanese brands, branded Thai name it. So instead of having one burger, you will have a variety of burgers because it's been already being cooked in the same kitchen for the online. So, and we've now, thanks God, we have a couple of hotels under review, review that we might extend our services to them. So yes, so we do help the normal standalone restaurants into expanding into new cities, expanding to the new zones, expanding to new locations, reaching more consumers, so their product will be reaching more database, more consumer, more zones. Plus, we are helping hotels, especially hotels where one of the most affected industries, if I want to say, especially the city stay hotels, the staycations or the resort style hotels. They are doing some sort of revenue nowadays during weekends and holidays for the staycations. But the city stay hotels, they've been one of the most affected industries. So yes, we come in with a solution. We take their kitchen operations, and then we utilize the space for online, for hotel, for for these things. So that's some sort of a thing of a model that currently it's already operating. Maybe I can say when we were the first cloud kitchen to enter into hotel operation in the region, if I'm not mistaken, we started the hotel back in October, the first hotel operation. Plus now we are working, I call it the third upgrade of cloud kitchens. It is something I cannot tell more about, or I cannot say much about it. It's still kind of confidential, but it's the third upgrade of cloud
There's
kitchen.
no one watching. Go ahead. We're not.
No worries. So the third upgrade of cloud kitchens it's a cloud kitchen. It's will service multiple brands. However, the location and the service and the way it functions, it's a completely different from the kitchens that we know now. It's light in capex, light in opex, very efficient, small in size. I cannot say more. Equipments used are of a different technology. However, still grilling is there, still cooking is happening, still. Something, it's a new project that we are working on with Yaoub. He knows more about it, and we are very confident that this will be a game changer again in the cloud kitchens. It will bring another level of competition to the market. A lot more on all sides when it comes to economics, when it comes to cash, when it comes to profitability, when it comes to bottom line, which we at Food2Go we do care about. That it's not only Food2Go where we do top line. No, we care about the bottom line, and that's why kind of we learned from the first kitchen. Whenever you want to go bigger, go small, multiple stream of revenue rather than with single stream of revenue. This is the way forward for cloud kitchens. And hopefully I would be able to share more details about the third upgrade very shortly, but definitely, and it's something excited that we are working on.
Very interesting.
Maybe if you allow me to give some context here, Rich, in terms of I feel responsibility. I've seen Wael do this twice, basically having a vision and exciting us and exciting everyone about the next thing to come. And here I want to highlight from an investment perspective the importance of relevance to the industry, especially something so personal as F&B. I mean, we've known of a few other entities that are, wishing them all the best. But with Wael, we felt confident that Wael was on top of the industry. He was feeling the trends before everyone or most were. We saw it the first time in the kitchen when it was set up. We saw it as well in the transition to hotels. No one was even thinking about it, and Wael just went ahead and executed, and it just makes sense. So relevance to the industry is really important when it comes to a cloud as kitchen service. We've seen others who are not maybe relevant to the industry, who have maybe faced some issues, because at the end of the day, it's cooking, it's food. If charcoal is required, well, then I think charcoal it is in food to go's perspective, and it's a very personal thing to eat something, as you all would know. So just wanted to add some context. I felt some responsibility to do that.
Thank you.
No, it's fascinating. We know so little about this because it's the big new topic and it's the big new trend. So it's very interesting to hear from an investment point of view and from how it's been developed as well, rather than just the kind of the brands that pop up on our apps and we think of them as cloud kitchens. Something, Abdulkader, you mentioned earlier about choosing different types of brands and concepts. How do you look at cloud kitchens with that regard? Are you coming up with new brands just for cloud kitchens, or do you think that there's a combination of a brand with a more compact space and a cloud kitchen in mind as well?
Look, I mean, definitely there's an advantage working with dark kitchens, but I would say if you develop a concept with a small space in mind and going into dark kitchens, superb. But I'd say pivoting an existing outlet in the market today, which has already incurred the high capex, the high opex, going into a dark kitchen, I'm sorry to say, is not going to add much value. That's my opinion, and I don't think it will work that much, because again, the biggest issue I think we have today in this market is the culture of discount or promotions. Going into a dark kitchen where I'm going to generate an average check of 40 to 50 dirhams promoted at 50% is not going to really pay back my investment of 3 to 5 million dirhams. If my brand was built from the beginning with a small capex and built to average a check of 50 dirhams and my chef salary reflects this, superb. But the existing ones were not built on that business model, and dark kitchens have been around for almost 2 years now, 2-3 years. And obviously we work with them on some brands. On some brands we don't work. It just depends on the brand. There's an added value, of course, because they give you the delivery radius that you want. So if you're selling in Jumeirah and you want to suddenly deliver to Marina downtown, and they give you that sort of platform of delivery, yes, that's going to bring you top line revenue. But as long as you're able to cover your, let's call it head office or headquarters, I'm happy to go extend this incremental sales. As long as it's incremental sales, there's an added value for existing brands or existing business models. We are working on a new business model and or a new dark brand, and I reached out to Wael recently as well. We are building a new concept that's going to be geared specifically for dark brands or kitchens for delivery. Do I believe in it? Yes, of course I believe in it, because that's how it's being built. Existing ones, again, it's really a lot harder to say we're going to pay back the investment just from delivery. It just does not work. Incremental sales, superb, but we still need the people to come into the restaurants, because we are paying the waiters, we are paying the rent, we need to pay back the investments. Coming back to a point you mentioned before, Saudi, UAE. Saudi, UAE markets for me are completely different. Saudi market is a new market. It's opening up in the last 2 years. Sure, there's a lot of number of restaurants, but in terms of the quality and competition, we're still very, very far from Dubai. I think Saudi were 3 to 5 years behind in terms of having the brands that you have in Dubai, the know-how, the staff. We're still not there yet. The market is moving very fast, but Dubai, we've reached a completely different platform to Saudi, even Riyadh or Jeddah. We're working there. We're introducing new concepts. The numbers are great, or were great pre-COVID, and hopefully they will come back at some point. But the competition is nowhere near Dubai. In terms of existing brands, international brands, homegrown brands. I'm sure you've seen over the last 2 or 3 years the number of homegrown brands that came up from the local community and who are able to compete with international brands. International brands are not able to pivot as quickly as local brands, and and they do not have the same network and outreach. People, I think, in this town have sort of more of an attachment to the brands being built locally, and you know the owner, there's a touch to it.
That's fascinating, and I think, yeah, as well, in addition to what Wael and Yaqub was saying around the business models around cloud kitchens, it seems as if there's decisions that other industries are facing on digital transformation, on margins, and is it cannibalizing your existing business? But do you think that compromises are made, and you can have maybe with a cloud kitchen, with that strong brand that you've built in the physical space, that you can have a different location and reach a different customer as well?
Definitely, the answer is yes. I mean, the answer is definitely yes. There's definitely an added value. But all I'm saying is you cannot forget your base. So your first restaurant, your first outlet. The dark kitchens, they will give you the extension and the reach to create this new income or new sales from different areas. But your main outlet needs to still generate sufficient revenue to cover or return your investment. So all I'm saying, they need to work hand in hand. The problem today in the market is not dark kitchens or aggregators or so on. It's there's saturation. There's a lot of competition. The consumer is not spending like before. And even when we come out from COVID, I mean, let's face it. A lot of people today are working at 50% salary cut, 70% salary cut. A lot of people have lost their jobs. So people are going to come out, but they're not going to come out with their credit card and spending left, right, and center. People are going to be cautious. And I think it's going to take some time before salaries go back to normal and everyone's going to feel confident to spend this money, this disposable income. Is delivery going to benefit meanwhile? Yes, of course, because delivery is obviously offering the convenience in terms of people eating at home, people feeling safer eating at home, and the average spend on delivery is normally lower than being out in a restaurant.
Interesting. Mo, if I turn to you with a few points there around what you're seeing pop up on Talabat in terms of cloud kitchens and brands and consumer demand, and also touching on Saudi as well. What options are there on the market on Talabat? And I know whenever I go to our Riyadh office and I'm looking for a salad, first of all, I'm laughed at in the office because no one orders salad, and then secondly, I can't really find much choice on the apps. So what's your view on the brands that are popping up?
Sure. Thanks. I think it's a very nice question. We know one thing about the cloud kitchens, which I think everybody in this call is aware the advantages on the OPEX side, CAPEX side, and then a lot of opportunities of dark kitchens or cloud kitchens in general. I agree with Abdul Kader in the short term, given the fact that the pandemic effects are still there. But if I would like to give my personal opinion, of course, based on data, but personal opinion for the future of cloud kitchen, I would like to approach from tech and that data point of view as well. So today we know one thing about customer, sorry, or consumer, which is they want affordable food, they want tasty food, and they want this ASAP, immediately, as fast as possible. Today, cloud kitchens have a very strong leverage today against like mono brands or standalone brands, because they will not have luxury to optimize compared to cloud kitchens. They will not have luxury to optimize their delivery time, their affordability, or even the food quality, or building food concept as per the demand. So this is also proven by data, but again, I would like to make it sound like more my personal opinion. Data is the first ever thing if I were the cloud kitchen to look after what customer really want on that specific location. And if everybody is looking for a burger which around 50 dirham range, and if you sell shawarma, even if it's the fastest, the most affordable, nobody will buy. I think data is one factor. And the second, as I said, the tech side of it. I think the future of cloud kitchen, we will see more re-engineering practices of preparing food, how to make it faster, how to arrange a taste as per the demand and everything. I think data and tech will be the one of the next big thing to have a sustainable cloud kitchen business on top of the advantage of the OPEX, CAPEX, and then the efficiency. It's all goes. But I think the next, I think all the operators on the kitchen side should be crazy about data and tech.
Very interesting. Is that a shared view around data? And do you think that F&B and hospitality groups are thinking of data in the same way? And are they, are they looking at another trend is direct to consumer, such as subscription and meal plans, and getting to know your customer, providing them the tailored kind of produce and food for them as well. Is that what we're seeing?
I have a luxury to work with a lot of brands, whether standalone brand or kitchen. I can say in general, cloud kitchens are a few steps ahead with their awareness or eagerness when it comes to data. We also have sometimes like partnering. For example, thanks to data capabilities technology provides us today, we can put a spot on location, spot on cuisine, spot on concept, price range, because this data is available. We're already trying to do our best to, if anyone reach out support and giving a kind of guidance on that. But overall, yes, kitchen businesses are a bit more eager than a conventional F&B brands. They are much more aware of the importance of the data, let's say. How much they use or utilize, maybe Wael can tell better than me, actually.
I would say that the data also has an implication on the waste side of F&B, where when you have that data giving direct feedback to any of the F&Bs operating in these kitchens, operating through certain data gateways, whether it's aggregators or otherwise, if you have that data and you can see a trend change in your consumers between, nobody's really buying this product, this burger, we need to cut down on what we're having in stock for this burger, you can end up shoring up a lot of your waste side, which is also important in the bigger picture in terms of what goes out of the food and beverage sector into the waste stream. That helps a lot in terms of your bottom line and your costs, as well as what people are dealing with in terms of municipal requirements, and waste management. And for me, at the federal level, for the local authorities, that's really important that we have that sensitivity in F&B and the response. So they're not going, okay, we've been ordering to make sure we can make 20 of these burgers, but we only ever get 5, and we have to, you can get basically a quicker adaptation to your customers' needs.
And maybe just an attempt to put it kind of in maybe simple terms, right? I mean, you've got a restaurant where prime location usually is an important thing, or a location that is suitable for that business. With let's say cloud kitchen, which we see confirmed over here, representing data-driven F&B outlets or companies, you have the option as a restaurant to basically be data-driven in the sense that you're moving to a less expensive location, but you want to make sure that your food is in demand over there. And before the advent of data, I mean, that just was not possible. And that's just an example. And then obviously, once you see a lot of trends coming in, types of orders coming in, you can kind of prepare your basically orders from your suppliers to match that. And this goes back to Sheikh Majid's comment on wastage. So definitely data is the way for the future. Yeah.
If we were talking on this panel 5 years ago, and we were talking about delivery apps, we would be thinking of the market opportunities and the market share. Are we at that point with cloud kitchens from an investment point of view? What sort of market share do we see emerging in the next sort of 5 to 10 years?
I mean, according to our calculations, which I'm happily waiting to be challenged on. But the way we cut up the market, given everyone here is an F&B expert, so definitely being watchful here. But however, the way we cut off the market, we think it's a huge market. The UAE only represents several billion that we think that could be addressed, and definitely we're nowhere near being saturated in our point of view. The market is still in its infancy. There's a lot of transition that is yet to happen, so it remains really, really exciting for us.
Is that a shared view?
Look, for me, if I want to say about cloud kitchens, we are still in the very early beginning of the cloud kitchens era. I call it the cloud kitchens era. Back in 2006, 2007, in our region, it started the franchise era, where everybody and every single investment was going after franchise. Everybody wanted to get a franchise from US, from Europe, name it. They just want to get a franchise and put the money and then and add franchise brands to their portfolio. The franchise era, it was from 2006 something, 2007, until 2018, where I don't want to say it stopped, but it's reduced to it is reduced. It's very minimal. However, from 2017, we started to see the growth of the homegrown brands. Okay, the growth of homegrown brands, and the growth of homegrown brands is done by entrepreneurs and individuals rather than big companies with big money bringing a lot of money and investing it in franchise business. So this is where cloud kitchen solution came kind of in parallel with the growth of homegrown brands. Because, for example, for me, if it come back to me, maybe me and my friend and my other friend, we can put some money together and we open a small homegrown cafe or a snack or a sandwich shop or a burger shop, name it. But we won't have the money or the enough capex to make this across maybe 20 locations or so. And this is where the solution of Cloud Kitchen helps entrepreneurs into expanding, knowing that this, as Abdelkader said, the menu for Cloud Kitchen and online is a completely different from the dine-in menu. Certain things, they don't travel. We call it they don't travel. For example, you can't deliver steak. Example. Steak is a steak. It's something, if you'll order it medium rare, it will reach you very well done after half an hour of delivery. So yes, even now, whenever we have any brand that does exist in the market, we have a lot of brands that they exist in the market. When they come to us, they come, I want to come with my full-fledged menu. I said, no, it's not the case. It doesn't work this way. We have to develop a menu for the online. We have to develop a menu for the delivery. And the same thing, we do help all the entrepreneurs. I have a lot, name it, every single day. We have 2-3 brands hitting our doors for entrepreneurs. They want to start a brand, okay? And again, they coming with a big menu and sophisticated and stuff. They come to us. Even we help them in changing the names. I have already 2 or 3 brands. We convince them kind of to change the name of the brand. Especially for the online model, the name of the brand. Mo would know better than me on this, but the name of the brand plays a big role, because if you want to sell a burger, or you're creating a burger concept, don't call it Grills from the Moon. I don't know what people they come up. Put the burger in your name. 50% of your marketing budget is solved, because people, they would know that this is a burger. You don't need to explain much about what is the brand, what is it made of. For example, I have a brand with us. It's a completely virtual brand. It's called Karas from Beirut. It's doing super well. super well. Because why? Karas from Beirut, you know that this is a Lebanese brand, that the brand sells hummus, sells fattoush, sells tabbouleh, sells mixed grill, sells all. You don't need to educate people on the brand itself. You know, you just need to deliver the brand to them, deliver what quality, what. So that's the thing with and as I go back to the previous topic, that yes, we do help, we do provide the solution for all these entrepreneurs. And imagine someone with almost 100,000 dirham of investment, he can be at 3 locations, at 3 kitchens in the city, covering Dubai from healthcare city all the way to JLT. Yes, Aboudi.
That's where I look, guys. I do see obviously the benefit of the dark kitchens, but I would never tell someone to start a dark brand if they only have 100,000 dirhams, because I've had people come into my office who say they can start a dark brand for 20,000 dirhams. We all know I can give you a brand or a name for 20,000 dirhams, but we all know we need to spend marketing money to get this name out. And this is what a lot of people, I think, are failing in the dark brand segment, where people are thinking, sitting at home, oh, I've got a nice recipe, I'm going to call Wa'il, I'm going to put it there, I'm going to pay Wa'il 20,000 dirhams, and Wa'il is going to generate for me 100,000 dirham sales a month. It's not going to happen. There's another 11,000 existing restaurants. Now we have another 20,000 dark brands. They're all on the 3 small screens that we're trying to scroll up and down and appear on it. And that's where people are forgetting. Dark brand will work, but you need to spend marketing money for awareness. You're not sitting on the high street. No one knows about you. People, you need to create awareness, and your product better be good. It's not because you're going to go on a dark brand and suddenly it's going to work. There's a lot of competition. I mean, you guys know it. Coming back to the first question, I think the dark kitchen or dark brand market is not as easy as people see it from outside. You guys are the professionals. You know better than me. You're the guys putting the money. You have the data. I'm sitting from outside. I hear everyone talking, not from the industry. They all think it's a money-making machine. It's easy to run. I mean, you've got VC money being pumped into this market, into the dark kitchens, into Deliveroo, the Zomatos. We're talking about billions of dollars going into this. We can't go into this game. You need to be a strong player to go into this. It's not like you said, it's not a homegrown concept. 4 or 5 friends coming together. We pull it off. Great. We might open the second one. We jump on board with you guys to extend our reach. But to play this game, I mean, you need to have big money and.
I think like now everybody wants in. I just wanted to say that this whole idea about the marketing, the internet's a busy place. It's not just the apps or the access that you guys have, but what's your digital presence? And then can you cut through all the other people on social platforms or otherwise that are trying to cut in on your attention? So yeah, I'm completely in line with Abdul Qadir, which is there's a lot more on the marketing side that offsets your costs from CapEx. Simply to say it's a different game, it's a different reach to consumers, and it's one thing to say, okay, we can start lean, but if you don't get any traction, and I'll tell you, when I'm on the apps, I'm not looking to experiment. I'm going to wait for the food to turn up and know exactly what I'm going to get. It's very rare that I'm going to step outside of those things that I'm comfortable with, and to build that, let's say that opportunity to say, oh, well, this looks interesting. Let's try here. When I have 3 kids and my wife and everybody's sort of, what are we going to do? We haven't figured out dinner. And it's like, okay, let's try something new. It's a dangerous thing to play. So you want to go with, trusted brands. So marketing is going to play heavy.
One second, Sheikh Majid and Abdul Qadir, who is, I think, about to join us again, maybe. But look, definitely a complicated business, not for everyone. We've seen it, and just a comment on big money behind it. I mean, look, it's investors are necessary. The investors will not come unless they will make money. And I think where Food2Go got it right is focus on unit economics from the beginning. So profitability from the beginning, because it's a business. And then number 2, not being fooled by the complexity or lack of complexity. I mean, it is a very complex business, asset heavy. people heavy, and it is not something to scale in 2 days. And that's something that really worked for Food2Go. Food2Go took an organic approach, and yeah, we're really happy with it.
Thanks.
It's a fascinating topic, and as you can see, we could talk at length about brand building, and it's really interesting when you have different representatives from different spaces. I think with something new, even on the delivery apps and with cloud kitchens, if you're a first mover and if you're an early mover, you can see quick wins. But then once it gets more crowded, sorry, cloud kitchens are in my head. It gets more crowded, then you know, all you've got is something like a generic name, and maybe that's a challenge as well. But certainly there's some success to happen out there. Mo, do you see that on Talabat? Do you see that, you know, the brands, for example, the restaurants who didn't want to work with aggregator or with a delivery service provider at the start, eventually kind of other brands took their lunch, so to speak, and then there was kind of a leveling out afterwards?
Well, definitely, especially during COVID, and we saw a positive change. A lot of brands who were not really fan of working with aggregators changed their mind, and then they became available on the aggregators, not necessarily on Tela, but I think all the aggregators. And I know for a fact that majority of them actually kind of became happy after doing it. I think especially for the fine dine concept, there was a bit misperception, like my brand is never good fit for delivery, which might be true some extent because of the packaging, the menu, like you guys mentioned, that even the menu might require some fine tunes. But I think that switch already happened. A lot of brands who were not very fun now, let's say much more positive, much more open, discovering delivery side as well, which I think is also a good sign for the industry. And not necessarily from the aggregator's point of view, customers now have options which they were not able to find on the aggregators. And then this will definitely will be a move who will, which will grow the pie and grow the ecosystem for everybody.
Is that a shared view as well? Is that how? I know, while you mentioned earlier about how you see the aggregators and the operators, so to speak, so the delivery service providers and the F&B restaurants and hospitality groups. Is the cloud kitchen added value to that kind of ecosystem?
Yes, there's two segments on this. I'll start with segment number one, which is related to cloud kitchens, and then segment number two, which is related to the standalones and their relation with the aggregators. You know, when people come to, or when brands, they come to us, especially our model, the service cloud kitchen model, or CaaS, kitchen as a service, is in our model, we take over the operation A to Z. We work as a franchise. People, brands, they come to us, we take it as a franchise. It's not that we are taking the franchise rights from them. However, we are their service provider, their service partner. So it works like as a franchise. We take over recipes and you know, menus and recipes, and then we take it from there. We procure, we prepare, we cook, and we deliver. As a brand, they need to focus more on the marketing side of it, and we do help them also on the marketing side. So yes, when brands, they come to us, they don't need anymore to deal with the aggregators. It's everything. It is managed by the team, by our team, by the cloud kitchens. We deal with the aggregators. We list them on the aggregators. We pay the aggregators. We communicate everything with the aggregators in terms of marketing, in terms of menu changes, in terms of consumers, comments, and, you know, etc. So as a brand's operation, they have zero OPEX. almost zero OPEX except for marketing expenses and marketing budget. Where, you know, I go back to the first topic where Aboudi is saying 100,000 dirham, you open a cloud kitchen. Big part of this 100,000 dirham is for marketing. It's not for listing the brand with us. A big portion of this is a marketing budget, because yes, it's not that you take a brand, even existing brand in Dubai, if it is existing in, let's say, GLT, and you're taking it to Business Bay, it still requires a marketing budget, because for Business Bay consumers, they don't know about the brand. They are Business Bay, they are used for the, or they know the brands that they know from their zone, because they're their delivery zone. So the same for JLT, you still need a marketing budget even within the city itself. Where all this makes a difference for the brands is when the brand, as mentioned, the opening one kitchen or one brand in one kitchen, you will not get rich from this. All this will make sense when your brand is among 4 to 5 locations across the city, where you are covering the entire city, where your marketing campaigns and marketing budget makes more sense when you are geography or demography targeted campaigns that you work on. So that's when it comes to relationship with aggregators from the cloud kitchen perspective. Another point here I would like to tackle is during the first couple of weeks of COVID and all this debate that was happening not only in Dubai, it was happening basically all around the world, where they were or the operators or the restaurant owners, they were asking for a certain cap, like to cap the aggregators fees at a certain level. Same what happened in New York, in New Jersey, in California, in London, etc. in many cities around the world. For me, because I work for operators and I work with aggregators, so I know each where they are coming from. The whole debate is around one thing: is the delivery charge. Is the delivery charge versus the delivery cost. Because aggregators, from only taking an order and processing the order, they make money, no problem. But when they start delivering the order is where the question mark is. And the same for operators, I mean for restaurants as well. If the restaurants, they want to make their delivery themselves, it's equally costly for them. Take into consideration, one main factor is in Dubai, for some reason, our delivery charge is capped between 5 to 7 dirhams. 5 to 7 dirhams. This is the delivery cap in Dubai. However, if you go the other cities, for example, if you go not far from here, you go to Riyadh, it's 12 to 14 riyals. You go to USA, it's $4.5. You go to London, it's around 12 to 13 dirhams. Because whenever we do that delivery, the cost of delivery on us is between 12 to 13 dirhams. Mo would know even better than me on this one. So for me, I'm not telling all the brands to close their shops and come with work with cloud kitchens. No, this is not the solution. There is an idea that I had that I would like to propose for everybody. Why we don't make the delivery charge in Dubai or in UAE something similar to the delivery charge that's happening in other cities, like Riyadh, like the cities I mentioned, Riyadh, New York, London, etc. And then we can cap the delivery or the aggregators fees at a certain percentage. By this, aggregators, they would make sure, or they would guarantee that they will not lose on the delivery side. This is one. Two, restaurants, they will make more money from the fees generated through the aggregators. Three, increasing the delivery charge to the cost. I'm not saying to make profit from delivery, but at least to the cost, it should make sense to everybody. Of course, there is a debate will come or no, why consumers need to pay more money, why X they need to pay money. It's a service. End of the day, it's a service that we need to pay for. You know,
Abdul Kader. I think
I would love for what you're saying to happen, because I fully agree with you. Aggregators need to make money. We need to make money. And I'm sorry, the consumers become very lazy in Dubai. I'm sorry to say that. They're waiting for the promotion. They want to eat at 50% sitting at home. They want the food delivered to their house under 20 minutes.
Free of delivery. Free delivery.
So I'm sorry, this question will go to Mo. Why not? I'm the consumer sitting at home. I'm the one who doesn't want to leave my house. Charge me. Charge me $5. Deliver the food to my house. Why charge the operator? I'm speaking as an operator. Why are you taking the $5 from me? I wish that would happen.
Okay, so let me answer this from two different angles. One from aggregators' point of view, one from the consumer's point of view. Especially during COVID time, yes, these discussions were happening. In fact, as Talabat, we decided to stay quiet for some time because we believe in one thing on that, which I'll give you guys visibility, and then we stick on that. We took our position, and I believe we delivered, I think, good results for the society, which is the following. When this COVID started, not necessarily Talabat, all the aggregators received massive hit as well as F&B businesses. Yes, maybe not same as how dining business totally shut down. The business were still operating, even though with a lot of limitations. But then overall, the business are affected up to 30-40%. On top of it, as you all know, we have a massive number of fleet and then riders with us. And those riders, whether we utilize or not, we're paying, right? And then we're keeping them. And on top of it, we also have our own employees and then investment we do on the marketing side and tech side, etc. So all of a sudden, the cost of entire operation, especially logistics, becomes 2x, 3x expensive for the aggregators. And this is something we have to bear on that. And plus the precautions we take on the safety side, like the masks, sanitizers, etc. So what we did on Talabat, and maybe many other aggregators as well, first, we invested heavily on the safety side, on the rider safety, restaurant safety, our employee safety, and many others. And right after that, we believe in one thing during this crisis: we can only help environment if we touch the top line, not saving on the bottom line. So that's the reason we took some moves. For example, still it's that every single restaurant in Talabat who deliver close by location, and if the order is being delivered by Talabat, it's free delivery. And close by areas, it's being delivered by Talabat, it's free delivery. Why are we doing that? For a reason. We are really pushing hard on the top line. And we also spend heavily on the marketing side just to generate more business value. Because I believe aggregators' role here is touching the top line, make sure the top line is healthy for the F&B or restaurant partners, so that the business continuity will happen. That's the reason from this commission point of view. On top of that, yeah, it's not, maybe let's not take it too long, that a lot of aggregators also asked. We applied some deferrals on the payment. We tried to put some ease on the payments on the restaurant side as well. But one perception or misperception is that aggregators are sitting there, thanks while actually cleaning up, sitting there and making a lot of money. No, we are bearing massive portion of the money we take from restaurants going for the logistics, for the cost of delivery, plus marketing, plus tech. If we reduce this, and aggregators are sitting in a very low margin. If we took this from aggregators, what's going to happen? Aggregators will stop investing on the tech, will stop investing on the marketing activities. So the pie will not grow as it was growing. Then this is the worst thing for the ecosystem. So then top line will be affected for every player in the market, and it's the worst. So I believe on that, yeah, we're still sticking the position we took. I believe we have to even do more together to grow the pie, to grow the top line. But when it's come to delivery fee, actually, how you explain is actually very clear. But there's one factor on that. if it wasn't food, if it was, let's say, another e-commerce industry where your frequency is, let's say, once a month, yani, or like electronics, how often we're buying electronics? I don't know, maybe a couple times a year. But then when it's come to food, this is the highest frequency. This is the industry that the frequency is the highest. And customers are buying 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, sometimes 10 times a month. In this industry, the moment I'm take some moves to make it to increase to increase the affordability, to reduce affordability, it will backfire. Then what's going to happen? And this is what we believe, what data says. Then all of a sudden we will become more expensive than cooking at home. It's not necessarily bad for consumer point of view. They can cook at home, but that for entire ecosystem, the moment we make it less affordable than before, and then the frequency will be massively affected. Yes, maybe bottom line, it will look better than before for a lot of business, but top line is that. And what we know today, especially the FMB, to make bottom line better, we need better top line so that the efficiency will play a key role, and then in the long run, bottom line will be good. So in fact, our approach is totally against. Make it as affordable as possible for the customer. How? Yes, we're working together on this, but from Talabat point of view, as I mentioned, applying this free delivery for the close location for all the restaurant was a big investment from our side. And we believe in it, and we saw the result. Yes, affordability is working, especially without taking it longer. During COVID, people have two main fears, guys. We all know one is safety. We tackle this, even though it's getting better still. It's people's mind. The second is they're cautious or they're mindful in their spending. I'm not only talking the people who lose their jobs; they're already not spending. But even the people are still have their jobs and then they get salary. They, in their mind, what happens? What happens? And everybody's question: how many months I can survive without making money for my family, etc. So knowing this is that I think as Talabat, we will avoid doing anything um, to lower affordability. And I believe entire ecosystem we should work on it. Then consumers, instead of 5 times a month, they will maybe order 10 times a month. Then it will be win-win for everybody. This is our 2 cents on this subject.
Okay, just
Well,
let
if
me.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Abudi, go.
Look, I think definitely for the dark kitchens with the aggregators it works because of the economies of scale, because of your real estate, and so on. For bricks and mortar outlets, it's actually the operators or the restaurants who are paying for the delivery. It just cannot work for a restaurant to pay 25, 30%, up to 35% in every order for delivery. It just does not work. Not for typical traditional business. If you're coming out of the central kitchen, I agree with you. But at the end of the day, we're trying to squeeze the prices to keep the consumer happy. But at the end of the day, it's the operator who's paying for it or the investor of these traditional restaurants.
Yeah. For Mo's comment, I have two points. First, we are talking about the top line, and we are talking about consumer frequency, right? Okay. So when we talk about the top line, it will impact on the top line in two things. First, once you increase the delivery charge from 7 to 12, this is an automatically 5 dirham every single order on your basket. This is automatically five dirhams. It will come on your top line. This is one. Two, when for example, when the consumer will pay for the delivery charge, for example, now the consumer average check is 50 dirhams, right? Part of this 50 dirham is the 5-7 dirham delivery charge. This is the average basket, more or less. However, what if delivery charge goes from 7 to 12 or 13, and then the fees of the aggregator will drop a little bit? This will give a room for the brands and give a room for the operators to enhance their menu and to be more competitive on their selling prices, okay? Because they are not losing on delivery anymore. Aggregators, they are charging them less. So they will have a little bit more margin for them to work on a menu, to work on competitive menu, where the average basket will not be affected much. You know, the average basket maybe instead of 50, it will be 52, 50, you know, it will not be affected much. So the top line is there. Consumers will continue to order because now you're building a real competition between the F&B, between the cloud kitchens to work more on the product, and to deliver a quality product at a very reasonable price rather than losing the money for delivery or aggregators. And when I'm not saying that this 12 dirham delivery charge to Talabat, I'm not saying, but for me, if I can speak with all the aggregators in Dubai and all of us, we agree on a code. This is UAE delivery code for all aggregators playing in the country. The delivery charge is 12 dirham. Example. Then everybody goes by it. Because if the consumer in Riyadh or the consumer in New York or the consumer in London would pay 12 dirham for delivery, the consumer in Dubai should be able to pay for 12 dirham for delivery.
But that, on that aspect, in Asia, the other way around. And the examples you give are the markets which I believe will change sooner or later, will adapt what customers is. For example, I'm come from a country, delivery fee is zero. I'm not saying we should do zero, but in Turkey, if you charge delivery fee, I'll say, yeah, no, I will never order. But if you look at Asia, for example, it's also an amazing market, super competitive. The entire goal of entire ecosystem is making it cheaper than home, and then faster than cooking at home, cheaper than, so that the people ordering 3 times a day. And if you look at entire, let's say, Middle East frequency or customers' behavior, we're still scratching the surface. None of us still nailed it. And what you see, probably music to a lot of people's ears in the ecosystem. But I believe in the long run, it will hurt all of us. Because yes, maybe for a month we will not witness, but for like a quarter we will not see the impact. But that will be massive opportunity cost of convincing the consumers ordering twice more, and then in the long run we won't be able to make our business grow. I'm not talking aggregators point of view. Actually, this impact will come to more, maybe yes, bottom line it will look very attractive, but top line the growth will be stagnant. Yes, I'm open to hear different opinions, but even the examples you gave, if we take the different part of the world, actually we also have quite different examples. I'm not sure if there's one right solution or one solution fits for all. I think not. Like, I think we should all together work for it. From our side, there's one thing: as long as we grow the pie, everybody's happy. Other than that, yani, now we cannot, say consumers to pay the bill, because then it goes. We have to say real estate owners to lower the rent, and then supply chain, like we give it, so because it's end to end, like, then why consumer? Yani, okay, in the beginning, aggregators, why aggregators, and why consumers? I think it's all at to end. Maybe we should review every single step where we can optimize, where we can use the data more, technology more to really keep. But the last thing you want is actually like making it less affordable for consumers.
Sorry, just before
some value chain analysis. Sorry, go ahead, Drew.
Yeah, I'll bring you in. Yeah, we have about 15 minutes left, and after this we'll bring in some questions from social media. But just on that point, Sheikh Majid, I think, well, it's a very interesting and plausible suggestion and theory, and it's got a lot of agreement from the crowd. However, to pull off a regulation like that across industry, or even from a regulator body point of view, is difficult, is challenging, and then also it might remove that market dynamics, that free market dynamics, which is often encouraged in the region and within the UAE. Sheikh Majid, is that how you would view that topic?
So first, on a policy and regulatory, I'm slightly outside of my mandate there. I'm more on the supply side of this conversation. But the one thing I was going to comment is really understanding the value chain and doing an analysis of understanding literally end to end where everybody is adding value and taking a cut, essentially, before it gets to the consumer. It's an exercise worth doing because there's a lot of talk about who has to foot the bill for what. Typically in agriculture, the person who makes the least on the whole production line is the farmer. And everybody at the retail side has the larger part of the margin. This is a global sort of dynamic. Now, when you're taking a lot of brick and mortar out and you're creating a more seamless, let's call it food delivery experience, you know, hats off to the Asians for outdoing the moms and pops at home for cooking faster and delivering it at a cost where you're ordering 3 times. I've experienced that as well. You have to wonder what in our context is going to be the deciding factor. Is it really that delivery fee going to the F&B or to the consumer? Or is it something maybe along the line of the value chain that we can look at to, like Mo was saying, you know, you pass on the so-and-so has to pay, so-and-so has to pay, so-and-so. It's I'm not going to answer it here. We don't know the answer today, but I think data does have something to contribute to it. And definitely this whole space is going to make it a lot clearer.
Yeah, I think from my point of view, definitely I believe in capitalism. You know, I think the market is shaping up. It's at early stages. There's going to be people who will not be able to survive. I mean, that's just a fact of the matter. I think, you know, as soon as it comes to a point where collaboration is possible, then I mean, across the value chain, collaboration would be something done between companies rather than regulators, which is kind of data driven, as we alluded to the importance of data at the end of the day. But yeah, I mean, in terms of policy, I guess all governments around the world are thinking of ways to support the SME sector in general. So I mean, it's a time for creative policies, I would say, but I would refrain from venturing outside of my comfort zone.
Very interesting suggestion. Thank you, Wael, and good contributions. So we're just going to, there's been a few comments on social media and YouTube from viewers. So we're just going to bring it up on screen. And okay, do you expect the F&B companies to continue the investments made in sustainability, or has this been put to a standstill? Who would like to take that?
Yeah,
I mean,
from an investment perspective, sustainability, social responsibility has come and become part of the process. To be honest, it used to be, you know, it used to be something that is just said. Right now, we are seeing it all across the world, especially from Spartak Ventures, our post-revenue VC fund. You know, we see that you know, startups in general, F&B industry, when you have a sustainability focus, you know, there is an overall return to your investment that gets overlooked sometimes. I don't see it changing. I see it as an attitude shift in general over the past decade. So I don't see it being affected. In fact, after a crisis like this one, I think people are just naturally more conscious about sustainability.
What are your views, guys? Do we see that? Are people's consumer choices based on more sustainable products and even on the plant-based food as well?
Across all food sectors, sustainability is now more in the fore for consumers, for more sustainable practices in the country. It used to be a checkbox exercise. Now with ESG, environment, social governance sort of thinking around any business, sustainability is well more considered as part of a investment, in part of a choice for a consumer. And I'll say from the food side, it's critical because what the consumer is experiencing in terms of a purchase, or the business in terms of a sale and purchase and sale, there's this whole circularity of the economy that needs to be taken into account, where the waste that comes out of F&B and households then goes to landfill, which then becomes, I'm not going to get into the whole thing, but there are sort of knock-on effects. And the more you bring a sustainable product or concept to market, the more, especially in the youth, they are driving towards those products. So I think it's, like Yaqub said, it's a mindset that's shifting now, that's becoming more in the fore of anyone, consumer or investor alike.
Abdulkader, do you see that from a, in the real world, in the restaurants, are people voting with their menu choices?
Are they voting with their
menu choices and behavior? Are they asking for plastic-free restaurants? Are they looking for vegan produce?
I mean, I definitely agree with Sheikh Majed and Yaqub. I don't think the COVID has changed anyone's perception or being eco-friendly. I can give you a very simple example. Yesterday, we're meeting with a client of ours working on a new project. As she was leaving the office, she goes, "Don't forget, no plastic." And I laughed, but I mean, she just said it as she was walking out, and I was like, "Yeah, of course." I mean, that goes without saying. And I don't think in today's where we are today, there's an extra cost in the business. So we don't need to go backwards. On the contrary, we should continue pushing forward.
Okay, brilliant, interesting topic as well. I can't believe the 2 hours almost gone by. So we'll bring up one more question from the public. Deepak says, what is the future of the F&B industry in the UAE and the GCC, which is what we've been talking about? We've heard a lot about cloud kitchens, dark kitchens, delivery-only models. What does this mean for the traditional dine-in and sustainability reduced? So we've touched on a lot of different topics that are related to that as well, but what's your view on the traditional dine-in model?
Maybe I can give, sorry, did you address to me or anyone? Because the connection is really recently.
Oh, sorry, did I break up? Yeah, I mean, let's just kind of add a little bit to that topic because it's quite broad. We see that there's, going back to that kind of statistic about restaurants closing and reopening and profit margins and the current kind of challenging climate related to the pandemic. Where do you see that? Do you see that, would it be foolish not to have a digital element, to have an aggregator or a cloud kitchen if you were running a hospitality or a restaurant now?
The way I see it's a bit, again, personal experience, but I was being part of similar conversation almost 10 years ago when e-commerce was peaking in Turkey. The question was, what about the retail shops? Are they going to shut down? Everybody will order from e-commerce. It didn't happen, but the retail shops actually start focusing on experience more. They turn into more showrooms. They still exist, but now they're focusing on experience. At least this is what I, as a customer, are witnessing the change. I believe dine-in will be the same. It will not finish. It will not obviously come to end, but I think it will also move to more experience while still online delivery will be picking up. It will be just maybe, let's say, reshaped. This is pure as a consumer point of view.
Yeah, it's a very good analogy. Yeah.
Thanks. Yes, look, we have blamed too much for the COVID, and we've blamed that it caused the closure of many restaurants. But restaurants been closing, there is a lot of restaurants that didn't do well. I'm talking Dubai as an example. A lot of restaurants open and closed. Definitely things post-COVID will be different. Operators, they will have a different approach. They must have a different approach whenever they are planning for a new location, whenever they are planning for an expansion, whenever they are planning for an investment, whenever they are planning for a menu, whenever they are planning for a marketing, so everything has to come from a different perspective now, because as we discussed during the experience, during the conversation, is people now will start going out not only, but one of the main reasons is the experience. So opening a normal sandwich shop on the corner, okay, it's fine. But what type of this experience that you will bring to the consumer to make him come to you and buy the sandwich, rather than ordering the sandwich from from the aggregator. However, having a dine-in location with waiters and consumer and the music and atmosphere, this is where they need to capitalize on. However, this is where now cloud kitchens comes in, because as I mentioned, creativity is there, homegrown brand is there. People will still want to invest in food and beverage still, and investors and people and entrepreneurs, they still want to work in F&B. They still want to create something new in F&B. There's still a lot of ideas out there that when it's come to reality, it will make amazing. So this is where cloud kitchen will come and play the role of providing the facility, providing the service, providing the platform, providing the know-how for these brands to penetrate a new market, penetrate in new zones, expand, capitalize. We have one of the brands now signing with us. They have spent more than 120,000 dirham in developing one single product. More than 120 or 130,000 dirham with working with certain labs in Europe to develop a single product. So there is a lot of amazing ideas and amazing work and amazing opportunities out there. Our job here as Cloud Kitchens is we help these entrepreneurs into growing faster and reaching consumer faster as well. So just I wanted to have this comment.
No, that's great, and it's a good note to finish on. I think we have talked about COVID. We have talked about the future F&B industry. We've had a nice mix of contributions across the sector, and largely it's a positive vibe. It's a strong future-proof ideas, and I thank you all for your time this afternoon. I think this topic and your contributions will stand the test of time, and we look forward to seeing where we are in a couple of years' time. Sheikh Majid, Wael, Yaqub, Mo, and Abdul Qadir, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts today.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.